Hi, I'm Phil Constantine, and this is Travels with Phil. And on this particular trip, we're going to be going to the Grand Village of the Natchez Indians. Now, this is located right on the Mississippi River itself. Well, actually, it's just slightly inland from Mississippi, but right in Natchez, on the southern side of the city of Natchez, Mississippi. And it's a very interesting spot. It's about 130 acres or so. And they believe that it first started being built somewhere around 800 years ago. Now, they're not sure that the Natchez were the original builders, but they do know they came in probably around the 1500s, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And they did do some improvements as they came into the area. Now, it has several different mounds out here. You can see an artist rendition of what it might have looked like at one time. You're looking out toward the river itself. But a very well-kept area right now. They put a lot of time and effort into it. Right next to Fort Rosalie, this was a French fort in the area around early 1700s. And the area is known for, and the Natchez are known for their leader being called the Great Sun. And the largest mound here is called the Great Sun Mound. Now, they know that this was used for ceremonial purposes. In 1704, there was a French colonist saw the funeral rites of a female Natchez chief here, and they held a similar one in 1725 for a chief called Tattooed Serpent, which almost sounds like an Aztec kind of name, or a Maya one, at least a Mexican Central American one. And you can see by these pictures here that the ceremony was very elaborate. In fact, they had several people who decided to go along and be killed at the same time that the Sun King was that died during the funeral process. And that's what the people you are seeing here are staked out. They're strangled at the time. They did the ceremonial kinds of things. You can see here that this is the larger mound. And this was the chief's house and temple. Now, you can see him being carried through for a ceremonial event on a palanquin, or a litter, as it were. And this is based on a lot of transcripts from the French who were through there in the area. Some of the maps here show the basic setup between the Mount A's, B, and C. And the Mount A, which we'll show you in a little bit here, is pretty much abandoned, so they believe that it's fairly well in original condition, let's put it that way. Now, they do a lot of effort to keep this place looking good. Again, all kinds of mounds out here where they've done some research into. They have dug into some of them, the three main mounds out here. And this is a nice view. You can see here the wide open spaces out here. And this might, while the trees may not have been there, it was definitely an open plaza according to all the archaeological excavations which they've done here. Now you can see by this map here of Mound B how tall the structure was. It came in several different layers. They built up, let it harden, and in case many years may have gone by before they built the next one. There were excavations done in 1930, 62, 72 again, and again the French did observe some things, but like in a lot of cases, the ceremonies were normally not conducted in front of people who were not part of the village. Now, eventually, the Natchez were allies with the French, but they started being courted by the British, and eventually got into a battle with the French, and that led to a defeat around 1730. And they started moving out very quickly after that, and pretty much were disappeared within about 50 years. Some people felt that they moved south. A few may have gone in with the Creeks or the Cherokees. And it's hard to tell exactly where it is they went. Now, in this particular spot out here, you will see lots of trees. This is a box elder that just happens to be labeled out there, so you can see what that looks like. St. Catherine's Creek is right next to the facility out here, and in fact, it's been a source of some erosion on the scene, and it's the trees down here at the bottom of this particular picture are the scene of where St. Catherine's is. I love this milkweed. And this is one of the open fields out here, and you can see this stick out here. Well, this is a spot where they will play stickball, which is a variety or a variation of a game played by many of the tribes in the southeast, including my tribe, the Cherokees. Now, they noted some oddities the way the mounds were built. Most of them were built straight on north and south, east and west, but every once in a while, one of the mounds would be slightly off by about 30 degrees to the northeast. Not really sure why that happened. And so that's a mystery. Again, if you don't have exact information and exact knowledge, it's hard to tell why they may have been done that way. You can see here, this is the stickball thing, and they always have a fish, or a wooden fish in this case, up on top, and by hitting the wooden fish, that's how you score points. Now here's the abandoned mound. You can see some of the pictures here, some of the diagrams, the old pictures in some of the other areas here when they started to do the original excavations in 1962, when they came in and did some trenching, trying not to destroy the mounds, but at least see what was underneath them. Now these are some reconstructions of what they think some of the houses might look like. They obviously wouldn't be this dilapidated if people were still living in them. This is the modern day work on it, and obviously it is suffering because of the weather. It takes a lot of time to keep these going. Now, there were a lot of basketry in the area. This is some really, really nice basketry in here, and you will be able to see. I'll put some titles underneath the pictures here so you can see what they are. But that, that definitely looks sort of like a beaver, that particular one there. But they have different examples here of Choctaw, Seminole, Cherokee, Coshada, all kinds of different local basket making techniques and styles. And it's a nice thing about the museum here is they don't show things other than just for the Natchez. Now, the Natchez, they're believed, according to a French report in the 1700s, they had 17 moons. They had a celebration or some sort of ceremony for each one of these, which was based on the most prevalent fruit or food. And so it started in March and went all the way through back around to March again with a few extra days left over. Now, the Natchez social system had 3 ranks. They had the Sun King, nobility, and then the commoners, for lack of a better word. And there were, varying, they is believed, basically according to the interactions they had with the French and the few folks that did some research into it, relatively speaking of the time, that at least documented what they talked with the locals about. Everybody had their own classification systems and the kind of jobs that were expected of them. These are some pipe stems, not the stems, but the pieces itself. And they were believed to have used these with long 4-foot pipes. Here are some of the Natchez pottery from about 1200 to 1730, roughly, varying different types there. And you can see some of the stonework up here. There were lots of work done here with stone tools. The area has been lived in, generally speaking, the Mississippi Valley has been lived in for almost 9,000 years, one way or the other. Some of the various potteries out here. And this one here is cures that the local medicine people may have used. This one's got an interesting story here. It's a Frenchman talking, saying the Indian physician came with his simple herbs all packed together and making a single ball, which he put in the water in a deep basin. Then he made me bend my head into it, keeping my eyes open while dipped in there. Now, I did this several times, over 8 to 10 days, morning and evening, after which, without any other work being done, I was perfectly cured. So obviously they knew what they were dealing with as far as the local herbs are concerned. This talks about the mound builders starting 3,500 years ago. There are lots of mounds in the southeast part of the United States, all the way from St. Louis over toward Florida area. And this was a nice little thing for me, a nice little surprise as I came over and looked at the bookstore here in the museum for the Grand Village of the Natchez. I just happened to notice a book over in one of the shelves over there, and that's my book. It was on sale here. They had 3 copies of it, which was that. I got really tickled out of that. Now, I know this is not the Natchez Indians. This is not the Grand Village, but I just couldn't help showing you this picture, which is in Natchez, not too far away. Just this beautiful, beautiful scene of the American Queen. And I just thought I'd wrap it up with this pretty picture of some flowers, the boats, and the Mississippi River. Thank you very much for watching. You're welcome to make comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do so by pushing the button over in the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much for watching and listening.